Hey guys, welcome back to Forging Futures. This is part 3 of the Big Bearing Little Knife project where, as promised, I will complete the knife in this video. Like I said at the end of the last one, I just wanted to break this into two smaller parts so that you didn't get an hour-long video and make this a little bit more digestible, you know. Thanks for watching. Please enjoy. We'll see you at the end of the video. So, it's actually been a couple of days since I've been able to work on the knife because we had a very unique weather event happen. Just for a little frame of reference, I live in a state where we're a lot more accustomed to like 100 plus degree weather days, and yet this is what we're dealing with. This is the walkway between my house and my cars. You've seen my workspace before. The Jeep is right behind me, the forge is to my right, my work table is right in front of me. All of this is underneath my covered carport. This is what it looks like today. That's my forge. That's my anvil. Somewhere under here is my knife that I was working on. Yeah, so it's been a little bit before. It's been a little while since I've been able to work on anything. I think it's actually in the single digits right now. It's 7 or 8 degrees last time I checked, and it's actually going to warm up today to like 17 degrees, and we've got more snow predicted coming in this evening and for the next day or two. So yeah, fun times. So as you can see behind me, we've still got a lot of snow on the ground, but that hasn't stopped me from trying to get some work done. I've got the fire in the blade, I've got the blade in the fire. I'm going to normalize it, which means bring it up to critical temperature, getting it about 1500 degrees, and then pulling it out, letting it cool down to let all the color come out of it so the blade goes back to a black color, and then putting it back in the fire, bring it back up to that temperature, and doing that 2 or 3 times. That allows the steel to basically relax, and is supposed to help make it stronger. They call it thermocycling or normalizing. Yeah, after you do that a few times, then you bring it up to the temperature you want, which is, like I said, about 1400 degrees, I think, and then you quench it in oil, which I've got my oil set up here in this pot. Oh man, the lighting's terrible. So I have my quenching oil in this can here, and that's just about a half a gallon of canola oil. And I've got the burner already on so that I can heat the oil up to about 120 degrees, because you don't want to take a extremely hot blade and quench it in something that's really cold, like, you know, I don't know, 20 degree oil, because that extreme shock would cause stress and cracks. So from what I've read, you want to get it about 120 degrees, and that should give you the best quench. Here we go, getting ready to quench. That is a hardened blade. Alright, ready for profiling and finish up on the handle work. Okay, with the weather being what it is outside, which is really cold and covered in snow, I have brought my work stuff into my home gym, which is dark and not ideal for videoing in, but we're gonna make do with what we got. So here's my workstation. I've got a very redneck engineered grinder. Just I used a couple of hose clamps to attach it to a piece of angle iron and then C-clamps onto this big slab, which makes pretty decent work. Bench grinder. I've got my hardened blade, which you can see still has the scale on it from quenching. And here's my handle materials, which I'm planning on using. Let me see. I've got, okay, this is a thin piece of stainless that I'm gonna use to make a guard, and then after the guard will be a small square of bamboo. I've used this on another knife that I'll show you a little bit later in another video. Then I've got this section of antler, which will slide on after that, and then I think I'm going to take a piece of this. This is just mild steel. I think it's half inch, or 1 inch by quarter flat stock, and I'm going to cut a square of it, drill it, tap it, and then I plan on welding a bolt to the end of the tang here, like this bolt here. Weld that to the tang, drill and tap this for a pommel, stack everything on, so the guard, the wood, the bamboo wood, the antler, and then the pommel will screw on, and then I will also do epoxy. Now I'm going to shape the wood to match the profile of the antler. So it's not gonna, it'll be stacked like this. Here, let me show you. So the handle is gonna stack on like this, but with the stainless here, sandwiched between the blade and the bamboo, and then the handle will slide on, and I'll drill a hole in this, tack the bolt onto the tang so it will protrude through the end of the antler, and then the section of this that I cut and use cut, drill, and tap for the pommel will screw on, tighten everything up. This will be profiled to match the antler so it's not all with the square edges, and I hope that will look really nice and clean. So that's what I'm going to work on. I also need to polish and profile the edge. So, yep, a lot of noisy work. Let's get to it. Alright, it's the next day. All my epoxy is set up and hardened. I'm going to grind down these pins so that they fit flush. It's finally warm enough that I can actually work outside again, so the lighting will be better. I have not had much luck drilling and tapping a piece of steel for my pommel, so I've got this grade 8 nut on here for now. That is not going to be my long-term solution, but it's good enough to hold it all together while I get some of this finished work done. Okay, here's the plan. I'm going to epoxy that nut into this piece of wood. I'm going to very carefully epoxy the nut into the wood, and then I'm going to go ahead and epoxy the handle to the blade, as well as, I don't know if I really need to do that. It'd be stronger. I don't know if I have to though. I'm going to do that first, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I have my nut with a bolt in it. This is just a spare nut, or a spare bolt of the same size that I can work with. Got my epoxy. Just need a tiny bit. Rag just in case I need it. Old broken drill bit. I think I actually could have used a little bit more epoxy. A little bit more. The nut is pressed into place and held in not only by the wood but the epoxy. I can just take that out. And in 5 minutes, when that's cured, we're good to go. Not a ton of epoxy in there, but enough to get the job done. When that's cured, I'm going to sand it down nice and flat so that it meets the surface of the knife, which I've already done that too. I'll screw it on and continue rough shaping this. I have not decided yet if I'm going to go ahead and epoxy the full handle to the blade. I don't really think that I need to, but I may go ahead and do it. side I'm going to go ahead and epoxy the handle on. I'm admittedly a little nervous about this, but I think this is the best course of action. A little windy out, and the wind is trying to blow all my stuff around. Wrong drill bit. Where did right? Where'd my drill bit go? Oh, this is going well. Alright, improvise. Probably really a lot better of an idea to wear gloves, but I'm not. Just glue it all together. Alright, I'm gonna give that a good while to dry. And then it's on to finish grinding. Okay, glue set up, time to do my final shape. finished product of my big bearing little knife experiment project. Yeah, experiment's more like it. All in all, very happy with how this turned out. The handle, I think, is slightly large in relation to the blade, but it's got such a great feel to it. It feels just great in the hand. So I'm afraid that if I had made the handle smaller and more proportional to the blade, that it would have lost that comfort, and I really didn't want to sacrifice that. So I think that's just going to be, it is what it is. My grind lines are improving. They're not perfect, but I'm getting better all the time. And that's something that the more I do this, as the same as with my fit and my finish, you can see a little bit of a gap between the guard and the blade. The guard is not perfectly square, it's a little bit crooked. But those little things, those are skills that I will improve as I get more experience in all this. The grind lines, I think, will improve a lot, also with experience, but also better equipment. Soon I'd like to get a belt grinder, and that will help get nice, clean, sharp lines, and help bring this all together. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a belt grinder soon. We'll just have to see. They're not cheap. Maybe I can make one. That would be a fun project. My favorite part is easily that handle. I think that turned out beautiful. Even though the pin is a fake pin, it's actually two small pins on either side. The mechanical advantage, the mechanical hold on this is the capture nut inside the, I don't think that's technically a pommel, but the capture nut is what mechanically holds it, as well as the epoxy. Should make it nice and strong. It's not like this is a big chopper with a lot of force on it. Should be plenty strong. All in all, very happy with how this turned out. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, what you think I could have done better. I'm all ears. Maybe you got a suggestion, something that I didn't think of, I can try next time. It is sharp. I sharpened it last night, put a good edge on it. It's not razor sharp, you can't shave with it, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted a stouter edge, something that's more general purpose, something that will hold up good to multiple uses and not be prone to chipping like a razor sharp edge will. But it works. I was cutting tomatoes with it last night, and it cut just as well as one of my kitchen knives does. So it's great for that purpose, and I think camping, you know, whittling, doing whatever rough stuff with it, it would hold up better to that versus a really fine razor sharp edge that's more prone to chipping. I'm actually really impressed with the amount of material that one bearing yielded. It gave me a lot bigger blade than I thought I was going to have. I think one bearing would be enough for maybe a small dagger, like a Scottish style dagger, defensive knives, maybe a small skinner, a hunting knife. I think if I was able to forge weld two of them together, that should make a nice kitchen knife or hunter, or really, imagination is the limit. Who knows? What would you like to see me make? I'm always open to options. I've got a lot of projects that I want to make, and that's really one of the hardest parts to all this, is picking one thing to make. I've got so many knives that I want to do. I just need to pick one. I do have one project that I think I'm going to do next. I think you're going to like it. We'll see how that turns out. So, that's going to do it for this video. If you think I deserved it, give me a like, share, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Those things help out the channel a lot. And remember, forge your own future and make stuff.